Sarah-chan walked through the long halls of the Galactic Council building. Her shoes made soft sounds on the smooth floor. She carried a datapad filled with reports about human colonies. Today would be another day of defending her people. Council building was huge. It sat on Nexus Prime, a planet at the center of known space. Aliens from many worlds came here to make laws and settle fights. Sarah was the only human who worked here full-time. She passed a group of Zephyrians talking in their crystal voices. They looked like living gems, tall and bright. Their bodies caught the light and threw it back in pretty colors. But their eyes were cold when they looked at her. They thought humans were too young and too wild to be in the galaxy. Sarah kept walking. She knew what they said about her people. Humans had only been in space for 50 years. That was nothing to aliens who had lived for thousands of years. The other races had time to become calm and wise. Humans still fought wars and built weapons. The meeting room was full when Sarah arrived. She took her seat at the small human section. Around her sat beings from across the galaxy. The Kreks looked like giant bugs with hard shells. Their leader clicked his mouthparts as he read reports. The Veil floated in special tanks, their gas bodies swirling in slow patterns. Council leader Threnx stood up. He was a Zephyrian, very old and very sure of himself. His crystal body rang like a bell when he moved. "We meet today to talk about the human problem," Threnx said. His voice filled the room. "Their ships move too fast through our space. They build too many weapons. They take planets without asking." Sarah felt her face get hot. She stood up to speak. "We follow all the rules. We only take empty worlds. We have the right to protect ourselves." A Krex named Zith made angry clicking sounds. "Humans make weapons that can destroy whole planets. This is not protection. This is madness. We make weapons because the galaxy is dangerous," Sarah said. "You have all been safe for so long. You forget what real danger looks like." "The Veil," Representative spoke in a voice like wind. "We have had peace for 2,000 years. War is something we left behind long ago. Humans bring the old violence back." Sarah wanted to shout at them. They lived in their safe worlds and thought they were better than everyone else. They had forgotten that bad things could happen. She had seen the reports from the edge of space. Strange readings. Ships that did not belong to any known race. But when human scientists brought these reports to the Council, the aliens said they were just stars being born or dying. The meeting went on for hours. The aliens made new rules to limit human expansion. They wanted humans to ask permission before building new bases. They wanted limits on human weapons. They treated her people like children who could not be trusted. When the meeting ended, Sarah walked to her office. The walls were covered with pictures of Earth and the human colonies. Blue oceans, green forests, cities full of light. She missed home, but her job here was too important. Someone had to speak for humanity. Her computer beeped. A new message had arrived from Dr. James Park, a scientist working at the edge of human space. She opened it and read his words with growing worry. "Sarah, you need to see this. The energy readings are getting stronger. These are not natural events. Something big is moving toward our galaxy. Something that does not belong here. The Council needs to know." Sarah had sent the Council 12 reports about these readings. Each time, they said it was nothing to worry about. The Zephyrians said. Their computers were smarter than human ones. The readings had to be wrong. She looked out her window at the busy spaceport. Ships from 100 worlds came and went. Traders, diplomats, tourists. They all felt safe here in the center of space. They thought nothing could hurt them. Sarah's phone rang. It was General Morrison from Earth Defense Command. "Sarah, we need to talk," the general said. "Our deep space sensors are picking up something new." Something big coming from outside the galaxy. How big? Sarah asked. Bigger than anything we have ever seen, and it is moving fast. We think it will reach the outer rim in 6 months. Sarah felt cold inside. The council will not listen. They think we are making it up. Then we need to get ready on our own, the general said. I am sending you new data. Show them this. Make them understand. The call ended. Sarah sat in her chair and thought about her people. Humans had always been fighters. They had wars on Earth before they reached space. The other aliens saw this as a bad thing. But Sarah wondered if fighting was what kept humans alive. She remembered stories from Earth history. When enemies came, humans did not give up. They fought with everything they had. They used any weapon they could find. They never stopped trying to win. The aliens thought this made humans wild and dangerous. But what if being dangerous was what the galaxy needed? Sarah opened the new data files. The readings were clear now. Something was coming from the dark space between galaxies. It was huge, and it was fast, and it was heading straight for them. She tried to call Council Leader Threnx, but he was busy. His assistant said he would see her next week. Next week might be too late. Sarah worked late into the night, writing reports and making charts. She had to make the council understand. But deep down, she knew they would not listen until it was too late. They were too proud and too sure of themselves. As she worked, her computer picked up a new signal. It was faint, but getting stronger. The signal was not from any known race. It repeated the same message over and over, in many languages. Sarah played the message and felt her blood turn to ice. We are the devourers. Your stars will feed our hunger. Resistance is extinction. The message played again and again. Sarah sat in her chair and stared at the screen. The aliens thought humans were dangerous. They had no idea what real danger looked like. She picked up her phone to call General Morrison. The galaxy was about to learn why humans built so many weapons. They were about to learn why humans never stopped fighting. The storm was coming, and only humanity seemed to know it. Was there. The first attack came 3 weeks later. Sarah was in an emergency council meeting when the reports started coming in. 3 star systems on the galaxy's edge had gone dark. No signals, no ships, nothing. Council Leader Threnx looked at the data with his cold crystal eyes. Equipment failure, he said. Or maybe solar storms. We will send repair ships. Sarah stood up. This is what we warned you about. The enemy is here. There is no enemy, Threnx said. Humans see war everywhere. This is just a technical problem. But Sarah knew better. She had seen the signals getting stronger each day. The Devourers had arrived. 2 days later, a single ship escaped from the Kepler system. The pilot was a Krex named Vorth. His shell was cracked, and one of his arms was missing. When he reached the nearest council base, he could barely speak. They came from nowhere, Vorth said. Ships like nothing we have ever seen. They did not want to talk. They just started eating. Eating? Asked the base commander. Everything, Vorth said. The planets, the moons, the ships. They have machines that break matter down and turn it into more ships. The whole system is gone. The news reached the council in hours. This time, they could not ignore it. Sarah watched as the proud aliens finally started to worry. But they still did not understand how bad things were. The Devourers were not like anything the galaxy had seen before. Their ships were part machine and part living thing. They could fix themselves when damaged. They learned from every fight, and they were hungry for matter, any matter. Admiral Kess of the Zephyrian fleet took command of the council forces. He was old and proud, and sure that his advanced ships could stop any enemy. He gathered 1,000 ships from all the member worlds. It was the biggest fleet in council history. Sarah begged for permission to send human ships to help. "Our weapons are different," she said. "We might be able to hurt them." "Human weapons are too crude," Admiral Kess said. "We will handle this with precision and honor. War is an art, not a brawl." The fleet moved out to meet the Devourers at a place called Kepler's Gate. It was a narrow passage between two star systems. Admiral Kess thought he could trap the enemy there and destroy them with superior firepower. Sarah watched the battle from the Council Command Center. At first, it looked like the Council fleet might win. Their energy beams cut through Devourer ships like hot knives. But then something terrible happened. The destroyed Devourer ships started to rebuild themselves. Pieces of broken hull flowed together like liquid metal. Weapons that had been cut off grew back. In minutes, dead ships were fighting again. "Impossible," Admiral Kess said. "Nothing can repair that fast, but the Devourers could." And they were learning. The second wave of Council attacks did less damage. The third wave barely scratched them. The enemy ships adapted their armor to stop each type of weapon. Then the Devourers fought back. Their weapons were unlike anything in Council records. They fired beams that ate through shields like they were made of paper. They launched missiles that turned into swarms of tiny hunters. They used gravity itself as a weapon, crushing ships from the inside out. The Council fleet broke apart in less than an hour. Ships that had never known defeat exploded like toys. Admiral Kess died when his flagship was pulled into a black hole that the Devourers made from nothing. Only 50 ships escaped. 1,000 had gone to fight. Sarah felt sick as she watched the survivors run for their lives. "We need to retreat to the inner systems," said General Yoth of the Krex military. "Build defenses around our home worlds. We need to attack them. Before they get stronger," Sarah said, "let us send our ships. Let us fight them our way." But the Council was too shocked to listen. They had never lost a battle like this. Their perfect ships and precise tactics had failed completely. They did not know what to do. The Devourers kept coming. System after system fell to their hunger. They moved fast, eating everything in their path. Whole worlds disappeared in days. Billions of people died. The worst part was how they killed. The Devourers did not just destroy things. They consumed them. Every atom of every planet went into making more ships. The enemy grew stronger with each victory. Sarah got reports from human colonies near the battle zones. Her people were scared, but ready to fight. They had been building weapons and ships for years. The other aliens thought humans were too violent. Now that violence might be the only thing that could save them, the Zephyrian homeworld was next. It was called Crystal Prime, and it was the most beautiful planet in the galaxy. Billions of crystal beings lived in cities that sparkled like diamonds. They thought their advanced shields could protect them. Sarah watched the attack on the news screens. The Devourers came not with a few ships, but with thousands. They surrounded the planet like a dark cloud. The Zephyrian defenses fired everything they had. Their energy beams lit up space like fireworks. It was not enough. The Devourer ships absorbed the energy and used it to make themselves stronger. Then they landed on Crystal Prime and began to feed. The crystal cities were eaten first. Ancient buildings that had stood for millions of years melted like ice cream. The Zephyrians tried to evacuate, but there was nowhere to run. The whole planet was being consumed. Council leader Threnx sent one last message before his world died. "We were wrong," he said. "We thought we were beyond war. We thought violence was something primitive species did. We understand now. Send the humans. Let them fight. Let them show us how to be violent again." Then the signal cut out. Crystal Prime was gone, eaten by the hungry machines. Sarah stood in the council chamber, looking at the few aliens who were left. They stared at her with new eyes, eyes full of fear and hope. "What do you need?" asked General Yoff. "Everything," Sarah said. "Give us every ship, every weapon, every resource you have. Take off all the limits. Let us fight like humans fight." "And how do humans fight?" asked a Veil representative. Sarah smiled, but it was not a happy smile. "We fight to win. We do not care about honor or art or precision. We care about staying alive, and we are very good at staying alive." The vote was fast. For the first time in Council history, they gave one species complete control of the war. Sarah sent a message to Earth. "All limits are off. Show them what humans can do." General Morrison's reply was short. "About time. We are coming." The galaxy was about to see what happened when humans stopped holding back. The storm was building, and soon it would break upon their enemies with all the fury that humanity could bring. But first, more worlds would burn. The Devourers were still out there, still hungry, still growing stronger. And they had learned that this galaxy was full of good things to eat. Admiral Marcus Rivera stood on the bridge of the battleship Fury. Around him, the largest human fleet ever built prepared for war. 2,000 ships filled the space around Earth's moon. These were not the small patrol boats the Council had seen before. These were humanity's real weapons. Sarah Chun watched from the command center on Luna base. She had been fighting the Council's rules for years. Now there were no rules. Humanity was free to fight like humans fight. "Admiral," she said over the radio, "the Devourers have taken 12 more systems. They are moving toward the Veil home worlds." "Good," Rivera said. "Let them come to us. We are ready." The Admiral was not like the Council officers Sarah had known. He was hard and scarred from many battles. He had fought pirates in the Outer Rim and rebels on the colony worlds. He knew how to win ugly fights. A human fleet moved out from Earth, but they did not fly in the neat formations the Council used. Human ships spread out like hunters. Some were big and covered with guns. Others were small and fast. Some looked like cargo ships, but carried weapons that could crack planets. The first battle came at Volf 359. A Devourer fleet was eating an old mining station. 500 enemy ships worked to break down the metal and rock. They thought they were safe. Rivera's fleet hit them from 3 directions at once. But the humans did not fight fair. They used tricks the Council would never try. First came the decoy ships, old cargo vessels filled with explosives and robot pilots. The Devourers shot them down easily, but the explosions released clouds of metal dust. The dust stuck to Devourer hulls and made their shields weaker. Then came the real attack. Human ships fired weapons the galaxy had never seen, missiles that could think for themselves, energy beams that burned hotter than stars, gravity bombs. That made space itself twist and break. The Council observers watched in shock. "This is not how civilized beings fight," said General Yoff. "We are not civilized," Rivera said over the radio. "We are effective." The Devourers fought back hard. Their living ships grew new weapons to match the human attacks. But Rivera had expected this. He had studied every report about their enemies. He knew they could adapt. That was why he saved his best trick for last. "All ships," Rivera said, "execute Solar Strike." Sarah watched in horror as human ships aimed their biggest guns at the system's star. Not at the enemy, at the star itself. "What are you doing?" she asked. "Winning," Rivera said. The human weapons hit the star in exactly the right spots. The star's fusion reactions went out of control. In seconds, it started to collapse. Then it exploded in a supernova that lit up half the galaxy. The explosion killed everything in the system. All the Devourer ships died instantly. But it also destroyed the mining station and 3 planets that might have been saved later. "You murdered a star," General Yath said. His voice shook with shock. I murdered 500 enemy ships, Rivera said. The star was already dying. We just helped it along. This was how humans fought. They used any weapon, paid any price, sacrificed. Anything to win. The council races were horrified. But they could not argue with the results. News of the human victory spread fast. For the first time since the war began, someone had beaten the Devourers. Other races started to hope again. Maybe the hungry machines could be stopped. But the victory came with a cost. The Devourers learned from every fight. They started to adapt to human weapons, too. Worse, they began to target human worlds specifically. They had found their greatest enemies. The siege of New Texas was the first test. The Devourers came with 1,000 ships to attack one human colony. The colonists were miners and farmers, not soldiers. But they were human. When the enemy landed, they found no easy targets. Every human on the planet had a gun. Every building was ready to explode. The colonists fought from hidden bunkers and underground tunnels. They used farm equipment as weapons and mining charges as bombs. The Devourers took the planet, but it cost them months and hundreds of ships. They expected to find easy prey. Instead, they found humans who would rather die than surrender. Dr. Elena Vasquez worked in a secret lab on Europa. She was humanity's best scientist, and she was studying captured Devourer technology. What she found changed everything. They are not just machines, she told Sarah over a secure channel. They are partly alive. They have something like a brain that connects all their ships together. Can we hurt it? Sarah asked. Maybe, Alana said. I am working on a virus, not for their computers, for their minds. Meanwhile, Admiral Rivera planned humanity's biggest attack yet. The Devourers were massing near the galactic core, building something huge around the central black hole. Human scouts said it looked like a factory, the size of a solar system. We have to stop them before they finish building, Rivera said. If that thing comes online, they will be able to make ships faster than we can destroy them. Sarah looked at the battle plans. Rivera wanted to take every human ship and attack the enemy at their strongest point. It was insane. It was also very human. The Council will never approve this, she said. Then do not ask them, Rivera said. Ask me. I say we go. The human fleet gathered at a secret base in the Kuiper Belt. 3,000 ships of every size and type, battleships and carriers, destroyers and cruisers, but also converted cargo ships, mining vessels, even luxury yachts with guns welded to their hulls. Every human who could fly was there. Naval officers and merchant captains, smugglers and explorers. They came from Earth and Mars, from the outer colonies and the deep space stations. They came because their species was in danger. Rivera spoke to all of them before the attack. The enemy thinks we are just another race to be eaten. They do not understand what humanity is. We are the species that refused to die when the Ice Age came. We are the people who built cities in deserts and farms in frozen ground. We are the ones who looked at the stars and decided to live there. He paused and looked out at his fleet. Today we show the galaxy what humans do when someone threatens our home. We show them the storm that lives in human hearts. We show them why the universe should fear us. The fleet jumped to hyperspace. Destination, the galactic core. Mission, destroy the enemy factory or die trying. Sarah watched them go from her command center. She knew many of those ships would not come back. But she also knew they would not stop fighting until the last human was dead. The storm was loose now. The rage of humanity was flying toward their enemies at faster than light speed. And when it hit, the galaxy would shake. The attack on the galactic core began with the largest space battle in history. Admiral Rivera's fleet came out of hyperspace to find millions of Devourer ships waiting for them. The enemy had been ready. All ships attacked Pattern Omega, Rivera. Ordered. No mercy, no quarter, no surrender. The human fleet split into 100 groups. Each group attacked from a different angle. They did not try to fight fair or follow battle rules. They fought like humans, dirty, desperate, and deadly. The space around the galactic core lit up with weapons fire. Human ships launched every missile they had. Energy beams crossed space like deadly lightning. Explosions bloomed like flowers made of fire and death. But the Devourers had learned from their defeats. Their ships were stronger now, their weapons deadlier. For every Devourer ship destroyed, 3 human ships died. The odds were terrible. Rivera watched his fleet die around him and felt no regret. This was what humans did. They fought impossible battles and won through sheer stubborn will. "Sir, we are losing too many ships," his aide said. "Good," Rivera said. "That means we are fighting hard enough." On Earth, every human watched the battle on their screens. They saw their sons and daughters dying in the cold dark of space. They saw the enemy factory growing larger as it ate more matter from space. They knew their world might be next dot, but Earth was ready. The planet had been turned into a fortress over 50 years of preparation. Weapons covered every continent. The oceans hid submarine fleets. The sky swarmed with defense drones. Dr. Elena Vasquez worked in her lab as the battle raged overhead. She was close to finishing her virus, the weapon that could hurt the Devourer's shared mind. But she needed more time. How long? Sarah asked. Over the radio. 3 days, Elena said. Maybe 4. We might not have 3 days, Sarah said. Dot above Earth, the first Devourer scouts appeared. Just a few ships, testing the planet's defenses. They found out quickly that Earth was not like other worlds. The planet's orbital guns opened fire. Beams of pure energy reached out across space to burn the enemy ships, but more Devourers kept coming. Hundreds, then thousands, then tens of thousands. This is it, Sarah said. She was in the deep command bunker under Geneva. They are coming. For our home, the battle for Earth began at dawn. The first wave of Devourer ships hit the orbital defenses like a hammer. Space stations exploded in flowers of light. Defense satellites died by the hundreds. But they took many enemies with them. The human orbital defenses were not like anything the Devourers had seen. They did not rely on shields or armor. They relied on numbers and nastiness. When one defense platform died, it exploded and took nearby enemies with it. When a space station was overwhelmed, it turned itself into a giant bomb. General Morrison commanded Earth's defenses from the Pentagon. He was old now, his hair white as snow, but his eyes still burned with the fire that had made humans the galaxy's greatest warriors. "Let them come," he said. "Earth has been waiting for this fight for 50 years. The Devourers landed on 6 continents at once. Their ships came down like black rain, carrying machines designed to eat everything they touched. But they found Earth was not helpless. Every human city was a fortress. Every building was ready to fight. When Devourer machines tried to break down the walls, they found them filled with explosives. When enemy ships landed in parks, the ground opened up to reveal hidden missile launchers. In New York, citizens fought from the subway tunnels. They used homemade bombs and stolen alien weapons. In London, children helped by spotting enemy movements and calling in airstrikes. In Tokyo, old people who remembered ancient wars showed young fighters how to make deadly traps. The Devourers had expected to find a soft target. Instead, they found a world full of humans who would rather die than surrender. Every street became a battlefield. Every building became a bunker. Dr. Vasquez worked through the bombing. Her lab was deep underground, protected by layers of rock and metal. She could hear the battle raging above her. Her hands shook as she worked, but she did not stop. "Elena, you need to hurry," Sarah said. "They are breaking through in Sector 7. Almost done," Elena said. "Just need to test the delivery system." The virus she had made was beautiful in its cruelty. It would not kill the Devourers. It would do something worse. It would cut them off from their shared mind. Each ship would become alone, confused, unable to work with the others. In space, Admiral Rivera's fleet was losing badly. Half his ships were gone. The enemy factory was almost complete. Soon it would start making new Devourer ships faster than humans could destroy them. "Sir, maybe we should retreat," his aide said. "Humans do not retreat from Earth," Rivera said. "We die here, if we have to." But Rivera had one last trick. The humans had been building something in secret, a weapon so terrible that even they were afraid to use it. But desperate times called for desperate measures. "All ships, clear the target zone," Rivera ordered. "Prepare for Ragnarok strike." The weapon was called Planet Killer. It was designed to destroy worlds that could not be saved from invasion. No one had ever used one before. But Rivera was about to make history. The Planet Killer was hidden inside an asteroid. It looked like just another piece of space rock. But when Rivera gave the signal, it came alive. Rockets pushed it toward the Devourer factory. Energy fields protected it from enemy weapons. The Devourers tried to stop it, but it was too late. The Planet Killer hit the factory and did what it was made to do. The explosion was so big, it lit up the entire galactic core. The factory, along with 1,000,000 Devourer ships, died in one moment of terrible light. On Earth, people cheered as they saw the explosion in their telescopes. But the celebration did not last long. The Devourers were angry now. They came at Earth. With everything they had left. Dr. Vasquez finished her virus, just as enemy machines broke into her lab. She uploaded it to the global network with seconds to spare. As Devourer soldiers smashed down her door, her computer sent the virus to every human transmitter on Earth. The virus spread through the Devourer fleet like a plague. Ship after ship suddenly stopped working together. They crashed into each other. They fired on their own forces. The organized attack became chaos. Sarah watched from her bunker as the enemy fleet tore itself apart. The virus was working. The Devourer's greatest strength had become their greatest weakness. "We did it," she said. "We actually did it." But the cost had been terrible. Earth was burning. Billions were dead. Whole cities were gone. The human fleet was destroyed. And there were still Devourer ships in other parts of the galaxy. "General," Morrison's voice came over the radio, "this is not over yet. There are more of them out there, and they will be back." Sarah looked at the burning sky and knew he was right. Humanity had won this battle, but the war was not over. The storm of human rage had broken the enemy attack, but storms pass. And when this one ended, humanity would have to be ready for whatever came next. The Devourers had learned that humans were dangerous, but humans had learned something too. They had learned that even the most terrible enemies could be beaten if humans were willing to pay the price, and humans were always willing to pay the price for freedom. 6 months after the battle for Earth, the galaxy was still counting its dead. 2/3 of all star systems were gone, eaten by the Devourers, or destroyed in the fighting. Whole civilizations had been wiped out. Trillions of beings were dead. Sarah Chun stood in the ruins of Geneva, looking up at the sky. Earth was healing, but slowly. The oceans were still black with ash. The air still tasted of smoke. But humans were rebuilding, because that was what humans did. Admiral Rivera had survived the final battle, but just barely. His ship had been torn apart around him. Now he walked with a metal leg and his left arm was gone. But his eyes still burned with the fire that had saved the galaxy. "Any word from the Deep Space Scouts?" Sarah asked. "3 more Devourer fleets." "Found and destroyed," Rivera said. "But our losses are getting heavier. We do not have many ships left. The war was not over. There were still Devourer forces scattered across the galaxy. Each fleet had to be hunted down and killed. It was dangerous work, but humans did it because no one else could. Dr. Helena Vasquez had become the most important person in the galaxy. Her virus had broken the Devourer's shared mind, but she was working on something even better. A way to track down every last enemy ship and destroy them for good. "I think I have found their source," she told Sarah over a secure channel. "There is something at the galactic core, something that controls all of them." "The factory is gone," Sarah said. "Rivera destroyed it. Not the factory. Something else. Something older. I think it has been there for millions of years, sending out signals to guide the Devourers." Sarah felt cold. "You mean this is not the first galaxy they have attacked?" "No, they have done this before, many times. But they always leave something behind to call them back later. The final mission was the most dangerous one yet. A small fleet of human ships would go to the galactic core and destroy whatever was calling the Devourers. It might be a trap. It might be suicide. But it had to be done. Rivera commanded the mission personally. He took 50 ships, all volunteers. Most were veterans of the Earth battle. Men and women who had seen their world burn and wanted to make sure it never happened again. Sarah went with them. She was not a soldier, but she was the voice of humanity. If they were going to die, she wanted to die with them. The journey to the galactic core took 3 weeks. They flew through empty space, where star systems used to be. The Devourers had eaten everything, leaving only cold vacuum behind. At the center of the galaxy, they found it. A structure bigger than a planet, made of some dark metal that seemed to eat light. It sat next to the central black hole like a cancer on the face of space. "That is it," Helena said. She was monitoring the signals from her ship. "That is what has been calling them. It is very old, maybe older than life in this galaxy." Rivera studied the thing through his ship's sensors. It was covered with weapons and defenses. Getting close would be almost impossible. But humans had never let impossible stop them before. "All ships, attack formation Delta," he ordered. "We go in fast and hard." "Alana, you ready with that virus?" "Ready," she said. "But I need to get close. The signal is too strong for long range." Transmission. The human fleet attacked the structure with everything they had, but their weapons barely scratched its surface. The thing was protected by technology beyond anything they had seen. Worse, the structure began to wake up. Ancient weapons came online, firing beams that could cut through space itself. Human ships died by the dozens as they tried to get close. "We cannot break through," Rivera's aide said. "Their defenses are too strong." Rivera looked at the structure and made the hardest decision of his life. "All ships retreat to minimum safe distance. I am going in alone." "Sir, you cannot. That is an order. Get clear." Rivera's ship was the Fury, the same battleship he had commanded throughout the war. She was old and scarred and barely holding together. But she was still the deadliest ship in the human fleet. He flew her straight at the structure, dodging the ancient weapons by pure skill and luck. His ship's armor melted under the enemy fire. His engines were failing, but he kept going. "Elena, get ready," he said over the radio. "I will get you close enough." The Fury crashed into the structure's surface. The impact broke her back and killed her engines. But Rivera was not done. He set off every explosive on his ship, blowing a hole in the ancient metal. Elena's smaller ship flew through the gap. She landed inside the structure and began uploading her virus. But the virus was different this time. She had changed it, made it stronger. This virus would not just confuse the devourers. It would destroy the signal that called them forever. Upload. Complete, she said. But something is wrong. The structure is fighting back. The ancient machines inside the structure had found her. They came like a wave of metal death, trying to stop her before the virus could spread. Elena fought them with human weapons and human courage, but there were too many. Sarah, tell my family. I love them, Elena said. Then her signal went dead. But the virus was working. The structure began to shake and crack. The signal that had called devourers across the cosmos grew weak and died. Ancient machines that had worked for millions of years finally stopped. The structure broke apart slowly, falling into the black hole that had hidden it for so long. With it died the last hope the devourers had of calling for help. Sarah watched from her ship as the ancient enemy finally died. Rivera was gone. Elena was gone. Half the human fleet was gone, but they had won. The galaxy was safe. The trip home took a month. When they arrived at Earth, they found the planet healing. Green plants were growing in the ash. Children were playing in the ruins of cities. Humans were doing what they always did, surviving and rebuilding. The surviving alien races came to Earth to thank humanity. The proud Zephyrians, the fierce Kreks, the wise Vale. They all came to bow before the species they had once called primitive. Sarah spoke for humanity at the ceremony. She stood where the old council building had been, looking out at representatives from across the galaxy. You called us violent, she said. You called us primitive. You said we were too dangerous for civilized. Space, you were right. We are dangerous. But sometimes dangerous is what the universe needs. She looked up at the stars, where human ships were still hunting down the last devourer fleets. We did not want to be your warriors. We wanted to be your friends. But when something came to eat our galaxy, someone had to fight. Someone had to be willing to do whatever it took to win. That someone was us. The aliens listened in silence. They understood now. Humanity's violence was not a flaw. It was a gift. A terrible gift that could save the universe when nothing else could. The ceremony ended with a moment of silence for all the dead. Billions of beings from hundreds of worlds. They had died so that life could continue in the galaxy. As the aliens left, Sarah stayed behind. She looked up at the night sky and thought about the future. Humanity would help rebuild the galaxy. They would share their technology and their strength with other races, but they would also stay ready. Because Sarah had learned something in the war. Evil was always out there, waiting in the dark between the stars. And when it came again, humanity would be ready to fight. A year later, the deep space sensors picked up new signals. Not from the devourers this time, but from another galaxy. Another threat was coming, drawn by the light of civilization. Sarah was older now, but she still stood ready to defend her people. The storm of human rage had passed, but it could rise again if needed. The galaxy had learned to fear that storm, but also to respect it. Humanity had become what they were always meant to be, guardians of the light against the darkness. And as long as humans drew breath, no force in the universe would stand against. The coming storm. The stars were safe, for now. But humans would keep watching the dark, ready to fight whatever came next. Because that was what humans did. They protected what they loved, no matter the cost, and the galaxy loved them for it.